Okay, next up we have Chelsea fan Bogdan, as we was talking about FFP. So Bogdan, thanks very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me as well. I'm really glad to be here. But yeah, thank you very much.
No worries, buddy. And we'll sort of we'll talk about some of the Chelsea games, but we'll just touch upon FFP just because we were following on from Danny there. That Chelsea have already kind of admitted that they've been a bit naughty, and I think we all know that. I think it was 1.19 billion or something they've spent.
Yeah.
Do you think that a points deduction or even relegation is possible?
I mean, talking about points deduction, obviously 1 billion sounds quite a lot. It does quite a lot. Comparing to Everton, for example, as well, or Nottingham Forest, it just sounds ridiculous, the amount of money Chelsea has paid over a couple of years time. But just the thing with the contracts as well. Obviously, like I said, we have Enzo Fernandez, we have Mikhailo Mudryk as well, who has been signed for like 8 years at least.
Yeah.
Which does make sense, to spend so much money as well. But I'm sure it will be regulated in the foreseen future, like those length of the contracts as well and the money spent on the players. But I do agree that 1 billion sounds quite crazy, to be honest.
Yeah, it's crazy money. It's crazy money, but that's Chelsea. If they've got it, then they can spend it. I think this is the weird thing about FFP, and I don't think the rules are very clear. And I also think it's kind of strange how, like, I don't know how much, we probably will never know how much dodging or creative accounting, should we put it, that Chelsea and Man City have done. But it seems the fact that the more complex it is, the more they can put it off. So if, as a Chelsea fan, if you were deducted points, if you know those points deduction were coming, would you rather take them now or next season?
Obviously, being not in the great position in the table, I would rather take them now, I guess, those points deduction, because I mean the 2 seasons that been so far were horrible, to be honest, for Chelsea. With new managers coming, with new owner coming as well, it just sounds unimaginable, the fact that Chelsea is like not in the top of the league, to be honest. I mean, at least in the top 6. But yeah, specifically as for this question, I'd rather take them down now because I don't think there is a lot of chances, to go in the top of the league, just to try to compete for Champions League. So yeah, I think next season is going to be a bit better. So yeah, for sure.
Fair enough. So I think so Chelsea have had two games last week. Obviously, we've got to talk about that Manchester United game, which I mean, the week before it was the West Ham Newcastle game, and I thought that would be game of the season because I even as a West Ham fan, which obviously it was horrible for me. But you were on the better end of this result, the Chelsea Man U game. What were your thoughts on that one?
I just watching the last couple of minutes of the game was just unimaginable, to be honest. The emotions every single fan of Chelsea got, I think, is just incredible, to be honest. Cole Palmer scoring 2 goals literally just within a couple of minutes is just I think the whole day was made by Chelsea, to be honest, for me at least. I was so happy just after the game. So but yeah, it was a beautiful game as well.
Yeah, it was a brilliant game. Funny enough, I was speaking to Danny beforehand. I think he said that he wasn't feeling too great. He had a headache, so he left the game just before it ended. And then when he came back, he was like, "Oh wow, Chelsea actually did it." So, but yeah, it was a brilliant game. But how Manchester United switched off for that last goal, just the defense went totally to sleep, was just crazy.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, talking about Chelsea as well, it's just kind of a team, especially this season, with a roller coaster. I would just call it a roller coaster. Every single game is just, you can't really expect what's going to happen, to be honest. And yeah, Manchester United, obviously, I think Chelsea switched off as well during the first half, just winning 2-0. And then, having 2 goals in our net as well was just kind of a bit upsetting, to be honest, But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Manchester United, obviously, it was quite a tiring game as well. A lot of emotions happened, but I completely understand why Manchester United kind of were missing a couple touches maybe as well. Having Madueke getting penalty as well is just on the last seconds as well. I mean, but yeah.
One of those games where you just, as a fan, you jump off your seat if that's your team. Like you can't stay sitting down after that sort of match.
Exactly. That's what happened to me as well, for sure.
I bet. I bet, mate. You touched upon Cole Palmer there as well. So, I mean, he's a player that, as a West Ham fan, you watch him and he just seems fantastic. What is he like week in, week out? And do you think he should be a regular for England?
I mean, seeing Cole Palmer just in the first season as well, having 25 goals plus assists as well. I mean, it sounds really crazy to me, to be honest, as well. And being such a young player as well. I mean, and just helping the team in such a wonderful way. I mean, he's having a huge impact in the team for sure. But talking about England, I mean, obviously we all know that English national team is such a competitive. It is such a competitive country. Talking about football, and surely, I think Palmer should have a chance as well. In the national team. Just starting him would be really nice for Chelsea fans for sure as well.
Yeah, of course. I think in the recent friendlies, I'm not even sure if he got on. I don't think he played, did he?
Yeah, I'm not sure as well. To me, at least I didn't see him, on the pitch. That's the problem.
Yeah. I know the England national team is not your team, so I'm not going to ask you too much on that, Bogdan. But yeah, I don't even think he got on. It was really strange. I know everybody's talking about Mainu and the breakthrough that he's having, but Cole Palmer just seems to be the bright light of Chelsea at the moment. I think he's dragging them through quite a few games, and he's the driving force. So yeah, hopefully we do see him a bit more.
Yeah, I really hope so as well.
And obviously, we've got to talk about Chelsea's season so far. You mentioned it's a roller coaster. What are your thoughts on Chelsea this season, and where does that blame lie? Is it the owners, is it the players, or is it the manager?
I mean, obviously, we have to remember that we have a new owner as well, and probably all the bad stuff that started to happen happened after the owner, a new owner as well. I mean, obviously, we have to remember Porter. We have to remember Lampard as well, which did not do quite well during last season as well. It's just. I mean, there are other factors that can obviously affect, the Chelsea's game, but obviously, I think everything just comes from the top everywhere, I guess, So owner, I guess, is not the perfect not the perfect time as well. So, yeah.
And I was just going to touch upon. I know Lampard obviously is a legend there. Is he still considered a legend after such a poor spell as manager?
I mean, it's quite a good question, to be honest, but obviously as a footballer, such a great player as well, like everyone was just, even me as well, I'm a centre midfielder because I'm playing football as well, and just seeing him playing back in the days, just seeing him just controlling the game all the time. It's just unimaginable, to be honest, such a great player. But after being manager, after this poor half of the season, I mean, it's quite difficult to say if he is a legend now. But I mean, yeah, as a football player, I'm sure he will be always a legend in my team, in our team as well. So, yeah.
I don't quite think it was his fault as well. He was probably manager too soon, brought into the club at a very difficult period. He just didn't have the experience, so I'd probably forgive him. Even as a West Ham fan, I know he's West Ham and went to Chelsea, but he was fantastic at Chelsea. I mean, he's a great player. And so, talking about the manager, Pochettino, what are your thoughts on him?
I mean, at the beginning of the season, I actually thought that Pochettino is going to be our savior, to be honest. With great experience at Tottenham, for example, just leading Tottenham to the final of Champions League. Just what was that, like 4 years ago or something? He was just. I mean, I actually thought that is going to be a great season for Chelsea, and with so many signings as well. I mean, how would you expect Chelsea to be in the middle of the table again? I just don't know. But obviously, a lot of fans are quite fuming about Pochettino's work as well. But I guess I would have to say that Pochettino should be out as well at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's harsh. I think you're Chelsea are 6th in the form table, so they're actually doing better now. There's still an outside chance of Europe, but not sort of Champions League. There's an outside chance of Europe, so there's a potential it could still be a good season. That's if FFP doesn't come in and ruin it and sort of drag you back down anyway. But yeah, he's had a lot of players come in, which is always hard to have that many changes. A lot of young players. You've still got the youngest squad in the Premier League as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, talking about Chelsea as one of the youngest team, and maybe even the youngest teams in Premier League, as you mentioned. I mean, it's good to have a lot of potential in the team, a lot of ambition, as well. But we have to understand that sometimes experience should play a huge role in a team as well. The only player that actually can, kind of try to affect the game with experience, I say, is just Thiago Silva, and
Yeah,
that's it. And we all know that he's quite old already as well. And other
yeah,
than that, he's just young players. So obviously they are really good on the ball. They have loads of potential, as I mentioned before, but sometimes there should be a mature player that can kind of, shout at someone, at this point, or just control the game with his
yeah.
experience.
Yeah, I think he's 37 now. I think Thiago Silva, which is crazy. And when you think you've got him, but you've still got the youngest average age squad, take him out, and it's a youth
Yes.
team.
Yeah, it sounds crazy to be honest for me as well. With the Thiago Silva being 37 and the whole squad being like 23 and stuff, and still being the youngest team, it's just it's quite tough. It's quite tough.
It is mad. So I was looking at your sort of remaining fixtures as well. You've still got 3 London derbies there. You've got Arsenal, Tottenham, and West Ham. I mean, as I say, there's still an outside chance of Europe. I think if you've got 2 games in hand as well, which will probably put you about 7th. So, do you think that you could still make Europe as Chelsea?
I mean, as I mentioned before, Chelsea is kind of a roller coaster now. You just, for example, Man United game, such a big game, and Man United is a great team as well. But for example, drawing with Sheffield, I mean, how is it even possible, to be honest? And you just can't expect anything from Chelsea, to be honest. I mean, it would be really nice. It would be absolutely fantastic to be in the just competing for Europe league, or just at least something, for the next season. But it's really difficult to imagine, to be honest. Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
What are Chelsea missing? What do you think needs to happen? I mean, so you've got enough players there, but where are you not performing? Is it up front? Is it defence? You're just not getting hold of the midfield. Where's the big problem?
I mean, for example, Pochettino, yeah, his tactics are quite defensive, so he likes to play the ball from defense, just passing through the middle as well. So yeah, I think defensive side as well is I mean, a lot of work should be done as well, with 52 goals conceded, I guess. Yeah, 52 goals conceded in this season, but I think attacking side of things should be corrected in a proper way as well, I guess. You know what I mean? We have Cole Palmer, who is the best goal scorer in the team, who is not even a striker. Who is number 10 and playing right wing as well, which is not great, to be honest. And I guess, yeah, the main aspect is just a good striker, to be honest. For example, the whole community of Chelsea had really big hopes for Nicholas Jackson, for sure. But the problem is, he's not really a striker, to be honest. He's really good on the ball, and he's quite a winger, to be honest. But we need a really clinical striker who can just, make a good header. For example, Haaland, he's a great example of this player. And but yeah, I guess the attacking side of things really matters for Chelsea at least at this time of period. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, when I look at Jackson, I think he's kind of, you get rid of Kai Havertz and you kind of replace him with a similar type player. He's a forward player, but will never get you 20 goals a season. It seems a bit strange. I think that seems to be a common theme in football now. I think obviously Liverpool have players that can do that. City have players that can do that. Even Arsenal don't really. They do score goals from all over the team. But yeah, Chelsea just don't seem to be clinical enough, and they just haven't got that Arsenal defence, which is a massive difference.
I mean, just talking about Chelsea at this point, sometimes, for example, personally, me thinking about the type of just the game itself, how Chelsea should play, sometimes it just should be a bit more just traditional, I guess. Just having a winger who can just cross the ball and the striker who can just finish it. I think that's what Chelsea is lacking at this point, because I mentioned before, we have so much talent in the team. So many good players that can be great technically, and have a lot of ambition as well. But sometimes it should be a bit more classical. So yeah.
Yeah, it's strange because Chelsea always had really, really good number nines. You talk about Drogba or Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. People that they were just goal scorers. Weren't as technical. Drogba was amazing. I love Drogba. He was brilliant. Dragged you through, won your European Cups on your own in that final. I still remember he was fantastic. But there's not many of those players around, so it does seem like everybody wants to kind of walk it in, and that might be the Pep influence.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Pep, I think probably one of the best coaches in the world right now. The game that he's playing with City, obviously City has a lot of players, a lot of good players as well. But the game that he is trying to show to fans is just, it's not even football. I think it's already art, to be honest. There is no even tactics anymore. It's just complete art, as I mentioned before, for Pep, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a team that are great to watch, even as a neutral. If City are on, you kind of always want to watch it. And same Liverpool. I think there's certain teams that Chelsea used to be the same. Arsenal probably similar as well. I think that's probably the beauty of the Premier League. I do know that you don't just support a team in the Premier League as well. So we'll touch upon your other team as well, Shakhtar Donetsk, who are 2 points clear with 2 games in hand. Do you think that league is sewn up already?
I mean, Shakhtar Donetsk, talking about Ukrainian league has been always, kind of in a position of top 3 at least, and with such a great squad as well of Shakhtar Donetsk. I mean, I think it's quite obvious that Shakhtar is going to win the league at this point, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
I do really hope so, at least. So, yeah.
Well, I was having a look. I don't know a huge amount about Ukrainian football. I know Shakhtar Donetsk and Dynamo Kiev. They're probably the 2 teams that I think everybody outside know because they're always European regulars. Who's the team that's in second place? I couldn't even pronounce them, I'll be honest.
Nah, it's a team called Krivbas. Krivbas.
Yeah, see, I've never heard of them. Are they an up and coming team? Where are they? Where have they come from?
I mean, that's kind of Ukrainian football at this point. Sometimes you just can see the team that has never played well, and then one season there is like just a huge improvement in football quality. So, but yeah, I mean, this team Krivbas, I mean, it was not a great team, before this season. But yeah, sometimes, I mean, quite often, I have to say, in the Ukrainian football league, this happens. Just a random football team just comes to the top. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's happened in La Liga this year. I don't think they're anywhere now. I can't remember the team. There was a team that's not Granada. There was a team who was doing really well in Spanish football. I think they've dropped away now. But yeah, it's strange in some of those leagues. I mean, it's interesting to get your thoughts really on like the competitiveness of the Premier League, because we do see like the Sheffield United game as an example. Bottom of the league, but actually competing with big boys. Do you think that the Premier League is unique like that?
I mean, obviously we all know that Premier League is the best league in the world, and just seeing the fact that there is no just a team that will win everyone. For example, Man City at this point as well. Everyone thought that they're going to be invincible this season, but unfortunately, not this season, and probably not in the foreseen future as well. But I mean, yeah, seeing Sheffield United even being the last in the Premier League and just still competing for not being relegated. It's still quite good, to be honest, and it adds a lot of enjoyment as well to the every single game as well.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to hear about from people that don't I have a second team, and I have this question for a lot of Scottish players, Scottish people. If Shakhtar were dropped in the Premier League, where do you think they would finish?
I mean, I really want to be positive, but but the quality of football is a bit different. I mean, obviously, Shakhtar is a great team, and just I will emphasize a couple of seasons before when Shakhtar won Real Madrid as well in the Champions League. It was a great game. I think it was 4-3, if I'm not mistaken. And but yeah, I think middle of the table should be the place for Shakhtar, at least for the first season. But yeah, I have to say that Shakhtar has huge potential as well. It's quite similar to Chelsea as well, because it's a really young team with huge talents. That are going to be really famous in a couple of years. But yeah.
Cool. And who do you think will win the Premier League this year?
I mean, I guess I really have this feeling of Arsenal winning this league, to be honest. But obviously not supporting any top 3 teams. I really want Klopp to win the last season of his of his career in Liverpool, to be honest, because it would be really nice for him to leave with a trophy, with a Premier League trophy. But yeah, I really wanted Liverpool to win, but I think Arsenal is gonna do this, to be honest. I just have this feeling, to be honest. I can't explain why, but I just have this feeling.
Yeah, I think I think you're right. I think the Klopp factor will drag them over the line. I don't think they have the strongest squad. I don't think they've got the easiest run in, but I just think Klopp's got something about him that just galvanizes players. And they've got a lot of injuries as well. But they could do it. I think they could sneak it.
Yeah, it would be nice, to be honest. I mean, Liverpool, with such young squad as well. Like you just can't imagine, 17-year-old players just playing against really mature players against them, and Liverpool still being in the top of the league is just really impressive as well. So yeah, it would be really nice for Liverpool to win the league.
Awesome. Well, look, Bogdan, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on. I hope Chelsea do better next year as a West Ham fan. I don't know. I hope Shakhtar do well. I say that.
I mean, thanks for this at least. All right. But yeah, thank you for inviting me as well. It was a pleasure to be here and to talk to you as well. But yeah, thank you.
Great stuff. Cheers, Bogdan.